Hi there crafters, it's Louise here. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I have decided to play along with how to kill a kit with style, and each quarter they encourage you to prepare a kit to help bust some stash and then share some products and projects and things that we've done throughout the month or the quarter. You can pretty much play along as much or as little as you like. And so with the month of April being mixed media, the first film I want to share is actually just all about pulling some mixed media items from my stash. Now I am creating in advance, so I have sort of been thinking about this how to kill a kit with style stash busting event for about a month. So I started early March, and really this is just how I prepare and plan, because I don't always get time to film, process a film, record a voiceover, and then actually complete and upload a video to YouTube straight away. So I am preparing a lot of these, but I'm still playing along and pretending that it is the month of April, and I want to pull some mixed media items from my stash. I thought that this was really fitting because recently I have noticed that a lot of my mixed media products have started to either go hard or separate, and I'm really not getting as much use out of them as what I would like to. And so I wanted to share some of the items that I pulled. So I've got a container full of paints and different bits and pieces in terms of like some of them are like squeezy bottles, and some of them are from when I was doing quite a bit of art journaling. The good thing about paint is I don't think it really goes off, so you can really keep it in your stash for a long time without necessarily being super concerned that it is going to harden or not be able to be used, even if you've got to sort of re-alive it with a bit of water or liquid. The other thing I want to show you is the way I store my inks. So spray inks were super popular many years ago, and I have collected a lot of them. So I have a bit of a mix of some Lindy's, I have some distress sprays, some distress ink sprays, oxide sprays. Again, some of them are in squeeze bottles, some of them are powders that you activate with water, but I would certainly encourage you to actually use sort of like a swab piece that I am showing you how I actually swab these. And I find this very useful because it means that when I want a colour, I can straight away see how that actually looks against a paper, and I can pretty much get that out and use it as I see fit. So I had a couple there that had recently come in a Kitaholic kit, and so I swabbed those and just recorded them on that particular swab sheet. So I also have one for my warm colours, so you'll see that one was all the blues, which was the cool colours, and then like the pinks and reds and oranges and yellows, they're all in a different bucket with a different set of swabs. So as a boy scrapper, I typically use more of those cooler colours, but I do still have a bucket full of those other things as well. All right, so thinking about mixed media, I pulled this extra box of supplies because I wanted to sort of encourage myself to really get some of this stuff used. So we've got some glitter paste, we've got some stickles, there's like a brand new container of glitter gel that hasn't even been opened yet. So we've got some old Colour Blast paste. These Lunar paste, which I seriously, like as soon as I saw them, I love them. I think they're great colours. Literally bought them and have never used them. So trying to encourage myself for that. I've got some letters, some modelling paste in a tube, tags. I seem to have a huge stash of tags that I haven't really used. And again, because I haven't been doing too much art journaling, I haven't used many of these supplies. So I felt really strongly about this event and sharing my projects with you, and yeah, I had lots of fun. So I think that you're really going to enjoy this, and I hope that it at least gets you inspired to use up some of those products that you might have in your stash. Okay, so in thinking about the products that I pulled and what I wanted to share with you, I haven't pulled a huge deal of paper or supplies. There was a couple of things that I sort of thought would work. I also went through my printed photo stash and just grabbed a few little bits and pieces that I thought might work. And then I went to my patterned paper, which I store all my patterned paper by color. So I have all my blues together on a shelf. I have all these neutral and whites together on a shelf, so that straight away, if I'm creating and I need to pick out a certain color, I want to be able to go straight to that color and find what I need. And so in thinking about how I was going to encourage myself and share that encouragement with all of you out in YouTube land, I wanted to start by creating some backgrounds. And so these backgrounds, again, I've just picked pattern papers from my stash, and I'm going to pre-create some mixed media backgrounds. So the first little technique that I think is kind of fun is just basically using your craft mat and some water and a paintbrush, and actually painting a background like it's a color by numbers. You know, you don't have to be too perfect, or you know, if you like nice neat coloring, by all means color it exactly how you like it, but in this case I wanted it to look quite watercolory, so I'm going to go ahead and use some of those different shades of green and color in the leaves, and then I'm going to do the same sort of thing with some different colors and fill in those florals as well. Now you might have seen I've got my very trusty I don't know if it has an official term, but it's a dog pee pad. So if anybody's ever had puppies, they will know, they will have seen these before, but they are so awesome for crafts because they're so absorbent. And if at any point I want to actually spray a spray onto something, I use the puppy pad to actually to soak up any excess. And for me, this is really just about you know, trying to limit the spread of mess. It's not that I'm anti-mess, I don't really like cleaning up. I would happily just sit and create most of the time. And so if I'm spending all my time wiping my desk because there's inks and you know, paste and glue and all kinds of stuff stuck all over it, that just gives me less time to create. So I am all about, if there is some kind of easy way that I can prevent mess, I will absolutely do it. And for the cost of those puppy pads, you know, you can see that the one I'm using there is really, really overloved. I do have a stash of them somewhere, I just can't find one. So I need to go through my craft space and actually find where I've put away those puppy pads. All right, so you can see how this is coming together, just adding some colors, bits and pieces, blending some of those inks and the different mediums that I'm using here. So the next one is actually one of those tubes of paint, and by watering it down, so again, you know, I'm sure most of you know this, but the more you water it down, the less pigment it is. So in watering this down, it will blend in with the colors that I've already used. And I do like these particular acrylic paints because they have a little bit of a gold inflection. It's really hard to see on what I'm showing you here, but there's just a tiny little bit of some gold there that you can actually see, and it distinguishes the color. So one background, so that's where we're at. And I like to, if you've never done the reverse stencil technique, it is quite a fun way actually to create differing backgrounds. And this is where my really old, well-loved puppy pad, I promise I'll get a new one out before I do any more videos, is going to come in handy, because that spray can create quite a mess. So firstly, activating the the plain paper or cardstock behind my stencil just with a few spritzes of water. And then I am just going to spray directly on to this stencil. And so I'm actually going to create two stencil backgrounds. So you can see, first technique, nice and simple, spray straight through the stencil. Second technique, with whatever ink you've got left on that stencil, flip it upside down, just press it lightly, give it a couple of seconds to activate on your background, and then you've got this sort of double background layout without having wasted any of that product. So same thing again, now that I've got some colour still left on there, by adding more water spritz, I'm just giving it a little bit more of a chance to transfer that ink from the stencil onto that background. Again, just leaving it a couple of seconds. Don't be tempted just to peel it off too quickly, because it'll stick to your stencil before you've had a chance to actually let it sink into your paper, especially because in this case I haven't actually haven't prepped those patterned papers, so I haven't put any clear gesso or white gesso or anything on them. I'm just keeping them super simple and letting them speak for themselves. All right, moving on to my next background, again with these little acrylic sort of paints that I have quite a stash of, and you can see I'm just going to make a bit of a stripy background by adding a little bit of colour and then moving it around with my paintbrush. So the idea of this is to use those sort of different shades of teal. It is quite hard to see the difference, but I think when it dries you'll definitely notice how different they were, in terms of some of them are quite dark and some of them have that more glittery almost sort of pigment to them. So a few different colors here. I think this is a fun technique. If ever I'm struggling, I do like to do a bit of a stripy background, whether it be on plain cardstock, whether you're pulling strips of patterned paper and turning them into strips. It's just a fun technique. So there's nothing really hard about it. And again, this background paper, it's a paper rose patterned paper, and it being in those neutrals, I really did like that you could activate this in whatever color you chose. So I'm pretty excited to actually create some layouts with these. It was fun to just sit down and not have any sort of commitments. I didn't have any particular structure that I had to follow. I sometimes find that creating videos can put that bit of extra pressure on you to create, and it can feel a little bit overwhelming. I often, well, not often, but sometimes I will create my best work when I'm under pressure, but sometimes also taking that pressure away. In this case, there was no, I didn't have to pull any embellishments to make this layout. It was purely just about creating some fun backgrounds, using up some stash, and what I'm really trying to do with all my videos is just give you some techniques that you can take away and use in your own crafting, whether you sit and make backgrounds before you go to a crop day, or ways to use up your stash. So it really is important to me that if you watch this video and you've taken something away from it, that's all I'm really after. And I would hope that if you did notice anything that you sort of felt was something you could use in your own scrapping or stash busting, then absolutely share it with me. I love to see the comments of how you've been inspired. All right, so after I had finished colouring in with the green, I still had a lot left on my craft mat. So again, just adding a little bit of water to loosen that colour up a little bit. And then I just basically smooshed a background, a pattern paper onto the colour, and created a very simple background just with that extra technique of using up what was on my craft mat. And it's a really great way to do it for like an art journal page as well. You can see I've gone a little bit more vibrant with my colours in this one, because the other one was quite subtle and will make for a very pretty page, but I really wanted this sort of floral just to have that bit of an extra pop of colour. And I'm just blending the different colours. So some of them I want to be a little bit contrasting, and then others I want them to sort of blend in. Of course, a little bit of splatter, coordinating splatter, is going to work really well here as well. So to get good splatter, it's just really important to have a really wet brush, dip it into your pigment, and then you'll get lots of that colour actually falling off the brush. All right, here's another fun little smush technique that you can see that works really well with with that background being a white tag. And because I've got coordinating colors, so I've got some little pops of orange and some a little bit darker red in there, although it seemed sort of too dark at one stage. And I'm just using a paintbrush, using more water, smushing it around. You're never going to get the same result no matter how many times you repeat this technique. All right, so having a look at the finished products, we've got a tag. There are 4 9x12 backgrounds and 4 12x12 backgrounds. So I'm excited to sit down and create some pages and see what I can come up with.